stepped in, whatever, can barely talk today as we're going live. But I have Julie with me today with the rays of sunshine from
I'm
God on
gonna,
her face.
I'm gonna have to keep moving.
um, so today we were talking about how understanding your human design can make you a better leader. And we have Julie, who is a projector. That's her
Trying to get
design
the
type.
rays of God off my face real quick. Sorry, go ahead.
She is a projector. She has 3-5 profile line and then a splenic inner authority. I only want to touch on those top three to keep it very high level. But, anyways, so the questions I have for Julie today, from a projector standpoint, is let's take a step back and go like, when did you find human design? Let's start there.
2022, I believe. August of 2022.
Okay.
I heard about it before then, but I didn't officially like dive into it or like start learning more about it until then when I had my first reading done.
And what would you say is like the top 2 to 3 things during your reading where you were like, holy shit, I need to know more about my human design? Like what kind of clicked for you?
I can't remember specifically what the things were, like this links to this, links to this, but I just remember during the reading, as things were coming through and as we were having conversations, there were so many like visual memories that were coming to mind that I was like, oh my God, that makes this make sense, and this makes sense, and this makes sense. So, like, for instance, former life, I worked in automotive manufacturing and I started out as a production supervisor, then got into basically what people would call a production manager. And I just remember all of these conversations around like the projector and the needing rest and the burnout type of things. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, like working Monday through Friday and being on call 24/7, like I wouldn't have the energy on the weekends to do anything. I wouldn't have the energy to go out, and like people are like, oh yeah, they would like go out and party, or they would go out and do this, that, and the other. Or like if I did that, I was like worthless the next day. So I just remember like that was one of the things, but it was also like being in that generator type environment where it's go, 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 go all the time. Um, Gosh, and I just can't even tell you how many other realizations that they just kept clicking in, clicking in, clicking in like so fast.
Okay, so you learn your human design, and then from there, you start to use it on a daily basis. And then from there, you take it into business and into like a more of a leadership role. So kind of walk us through that. Like, what was the evolution of that?
So I would say for those of you who don't know, Emily and I are best friends and business partners. So so I would say like from there, like with us personally, from a friendship standpoint and a business standpoint, it helped us to learn how to communicate better with each other. So if you think about like everyone always wants to talk about like the love languages and what is your love language versus what is your partner's love language. For us, that was what's your communication style as this design type, right? Like you as a manifestor versus mine as a projector. And then like what were our like how do we process information and how do we process emotions? Those pieces were key and were huge. But from like a client standpoint or we're best friends, best friends, like sisters. I'm just reading some of the comments. Um, so anyways, like taking it into business, like we super, super quickly learned. And I think we just naturally started wanting clients to give us what their human design was. That way we could kind of tailor things more towards their design. Because in business and I think in life, we get so much information of how you should do this. HIIT workouts are the best workouts to do for losing weight. Um, Eating a very specific way is the best way, like doing keto is the best way to lose weight, or doing this diet or this thing, or right, like all of these things, very specific ways of doing things. But then we also see so many people that are failing at doing things. And so now we know that the general population, 70% of 70% of Gen Pop is made up of generators or manigens, right? So they operate way differently. And I think in business, we were also like, why does it seem so like, why do all the strategies we keep being told to use, like, why aren't they working? Why don't they seem like they're working? They work for other people, but they don't work for us. They're not working for us. Why is that? And so diving deeper into like our individual human designs helped us discover strengths about ourselves, weaknesses about ourselves, like what actually works for us, what doesn't work for us. The frustrations we were having with each other in business, we were able to figure out like it's not that we're frustrated from a standpoint of like you're an asshole of a human being. It was to me, it was more like we just miscommunication after miscommunication or like not moving at the same speed and pace and different things like that. So like in learning each other's human design, I think we just had this natural progression of we should be doing this like as a business in the forefront for businesses, for entrepreneurs, because I think everyone likes to talk about bro marketing too. We've had our fair share of bro marketing interactions um, and things that were just like, yeah, that does not work and it doesn't work for us. So human design's like, here's your human design. Here's what works for you. Like on served up on a silver fucking platter. Like this is what works for you.
Yeah, I think like the wait, I think you froze. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay. Uh, so to kind of go back to that is, and somebody asked like, what is this human design? And I'll put some links in the comments afterwards so you guys can check it out. The bro marketing, the understanding of you're a projector, I'm a manifestor, and we work very, very differently. We also know like projectors are really good guides and leaders. And for the person that asked if you can sleep eat with either of our daughters, you're a sick human being. So you should probably get off my channel before I block you. Um, anyways, back to the comment section and to projectors and manifestors. So projectors are really good guides at like leading people and leading, and they have like such a beautiful way of like seeing a team aspect and just so much knowledge, whereas a manifester, I don't have the patience. And that's one of the things that we found out about each other. Like Emily's not going to be the team development or the leader of that, right? So I would love to hear your thoughts as a projector, as you lead and guide and do such an amazing job. What are some of the challenges that come with that? And then what are some things that you've learned, like your leadership style as being a projector?
Ooh, this is like a very multifaceted question. Let's see if I get everything in there. So I would say like one thing in working with people, like we recently had the discovery of like having interns on the team and having interns work for us. I love like developing people and I love working with people. And like Emily said, like I do have the patience for that. I think that I should thank my dog for that, more than anything else because she is fucking wild and crazy, and had I not, like, learned to love her through her fucking weirdness, um, and through, like, all of her craziness, right? But I think, like, s because I'm a projector and I'm able to see, like, the patterns of people and the way people learn and the way people learn differently and are perceived differently, like, I can then also adapt to their style in a really easy way. It's really easy for me to like fully adapt to them and like fully support them in the way that best helps and supports them, if that makes sense. Because like we have one intern that she I would say like maybe works at a little bit of a slower pace, but it's not that it's slow. She's super thorough. She's super fantastic. Absolutely love her to death. We had another intern that was research was her jam. She loved doing research, really, really great at it. And it's just like taking the time to like slow down and work with them in the way that works best for them. And I think that's true of whether it's an intern or you're developing a team or whether you go in and help a team to change things on their team. You really have to be able to like see them deeply, which projectors are great at doing, which sometimes is a double-edged sword. because I know that we've been on calls before and all like this just happened earlier this week. Like all of a sudden I'm like, why am I so frustrated? Why do I feel so frustrated right now in this conversation about the person on their team that they're trying to develop? And I'm like, oh, like I'm feeling either the frustration of the person we were having the conversation with, or I was feeling like the frustration from like the company as a whole with like trying to develop that person. So that's an interesting thing to navigate. What did I leave out on that question?
So going on top of that, I think one of the biggest things I see with projector leaders that don't have the awareness, that, they're a projector and how they pick up energy and stuff. And I feel like I've watched you evolve and grow in such a beautiful way to protect your energy, to know like that's mine, that's not mine. I'm going to give it back. Boundaries. What would you say is the biggest thing from leading the team, from using it in our business, that as a projector to kind of protect your energy, what are some things that people can do to project their energy?
Okay, so this is huge because for those of you who don't know, projectors have an open aura. So we're pulling in everything all of the time and we amplify it. So if you have undefined centers, you're amplifying even more, but we're always pulling in energy and we're always amplifying it. So you have to be really, really careful. And you have to know like when your body says it's time to rest, we don't override, we rest. When are in situations and logically you're like, this emotion for me, it's like logically, this emotion doesn't make sense. Like, I don't have beef with this person, right? Like, going back to our call from earlier this week, I think that person's a fantastic freaking human and has enormous amounts of potential, right? So the fact that I was feeling so frustrated, I'm like, that's not mine. Um, but learning to feel like what is mine and what is not mine. And sometimes, like as a projector, that takes a lot of patience and practice. Practice in the stance of like, you have to be comfortable and you have to be willing to say to whoever you're speaking to or whoever you're working with, like, hey, are you feeling okay right now? Are you feeling anxious? Or I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling anxiety, or I'm feeling whatever the thing is that yours? And it's not coming from a place of judgment, but just a place of like trying to figure it out. So I know back in 2020, we would do this, right? Where I would out of nowhere feel like anxiety and anxiousness, and I would systematically go through all the people that I had been talking to probably within the last 24 hours, and I would message them and I would say, "Hey, how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling anxious? Like, it's not mine, is it yours?" And people would either say yes or they would say no, right? I even had someone at one point say, I didn't think that I was feeling anxious, but like now that you ask, yeah, yeah, I am feeling anxious. I'm like, okay, cool. So then once you've identified it's yours or it's not yours, then you can move accordingly. And if it's not yours, then it's almost like the acknowledgement of the fact that it's not yours is enough to just kind of get it to clear and go. Another thing I've become really good at doing is I have a practice minimum once a day before I go to bed, but it's normally way more than that. For me specifically, it's clearing out all of the things that I know are not good for me. So, other people's energy that vibrates at a certain level or frequency. So everything, we know everything is energy and everything vibrates at a frequency, right? So there are certain emotions and things that vibrate lower, like fear, guilt, shame, all of those things, right? So I personally have the practice of I don't want to fucking feel anything unless it's joy or higher. Like give me joy or nothing. So that's one of the things that I clear out is anything that's lower than joy, anything that's not mine, I give it back. There are other specifics in that practice that I won't necessarily get into here. But yeah, it's just giving everything back, cutting cords. I also, especially when it's nice out, between us having like meetings and different things like that, or me working on projects or interacting with different people, if I, and I'll just, a lot of times I will do this just intuitively, but I'll go outside and I'll walk, or I'll go outside and I'll sit in the sunshine. So being out in nature will clear you. And being in the water will clear you. So if you're the type of person that takes multiple baths a day or showers a day, or you're in water pretty regularly, you could be a non-energy being who's picking up energy from other people.
Yeah. I think those are all really good tips. And then from a projector standpoint, I want to address one thing that I see in a lot of projectors. You already know what I'm going to ask. And if you guys have questions on human design, drop them in the comments and we'll address them at the end of this. So, from a projector standpoint, we always hear this myth of I've I've got to like wait for the invitation. How do you address that? And also, like, how do you not play victim to that, especially in business and especially like leading a team? Like, if I'm a projector and I have to wait for the invitation and I'm leading a team, like, how does that work?
Okay, so I think if to clarify one thing, it's not a myth, but I think it's up to interpretation. So while yes, projectors, they're designed to wait for the invitation, invitations can look different ways, right? So this can be giving someone unsolicited advice. We know how I feel about that. I fucking can't stand it. You can't stand it either. I also have a really hard time with unhealed projectors that play the victim. Like, stop playing fucking victim, okay? Like, don't let your design type be the reason that you get to play the victim more than you already are in your life. Um, that being said, so wait for the invitation from a projector standpoint can mean um, as invitations are coming in, like you could be getting multiple invitations, and it doesn't mean we accept every invitation. You only accept the invitations that feel good for you and that feel right for you and that you feel aligned with and want to. And if you accept an invitation that you know is incorrect, you're going to know really quickly that it's incorrect after you've accepted. Um, but waiting for the invitation. So let's look at from a business standpoint or a business perspective. You can start a YouTube channel. You could start you could post reels on Facebook or on Instagram or be going on TikTok or on Twitter, any social media platform. And projectors have a lot of wisdom, right? So you can post the shit out of whatever you are passionate about, whatever you know about, whatever you want to talk about. And you're not waiting for the invitation in the fact that you're putting yourself out there, and then those who are meant for you and those who receive you well will then come to you and be like, oh yes, this is the person I'm meant to work with, or yes, this is the person who has something for me in some capacity, right? So the invitation, I also like to take things as invitations. So if I hear something, like maybe I'm listening to a podcast or I'm reading a book or something like that, I can take that as an invitation, right? I can take that as an invitation to do whatever the thing was that before I might have been like, "Ooh, I have to wait for the permission or I have to wait for the invitation." So you can create your own permission slips. You can create your own invitations. And I would invite other projectors to do that as often as possible, right? Like if you want to make a change in your life, and you can even say this out loud. You can go to the mirror and you can say out loud, like, I give you permission to, or I give you the invitation to, boom, invitation myth debunked. Like, yes, it's a real thing. However, there are ways that we can navigate through and around it.
Yeah, and I would also add, like, the other thing too is if somebody makes a post, say for example, I'm a manifestor, I have a business and I make a post, and Julie, who's a projector, comes on and comments on my post, like that's also an invitation. And I
Yes.
think that's one of the biggest things that most projectors don't understand is you guys have the knowledge and the wisdom, and it's okay to share that, right? You don't have to wait to be like, oh, you can go ahead and comment on my post now, right? So that's another way of kind of looking at that. So just kind of to wrap this conversation up, what is like one or two things that you wish the world would know about being a projector and also being a leader? Like what would be like one or two things that you wish the rest of the world would know?
Okay. So being a projector, rest is real. It doesn't mean you're lazy. Okay. But we
Mhm.
also don't get to use it as an excuse. So we're going to go through different seasons. As a projector, get really, really good at listening to your body because your body's going to tell you everything you need to know. Right. So are there specific workouts that are for you? Are there specific people that are for you? Because as projectors, we're constantly plugging into things, trying to get energy from them. So whether that's working out with and you can fake a lot of things too. You can fake through food and the types of food that you're eating. You can fake through the company that you keep, right? I personally love I personally love having calls and doing things with other people who are generators and mani gens so I can get their energy, which is fantastic. But I also do this with projectors and I can get the same result. So the energy piece is something that you have to learn personally what that means for you and your body because it's going to be different for everyone. Um, and what was the second part of that? As a leader, right?
Yeah.
So I would say, like, as a projector, I think one thing that we can get stronger at in leadership is recognizing the stuff that we do really well and also knowing that sometimes the stuff that you do really well, people are going to look at you maybe and think that you are overly confident or you're cocky. I've been told this before. Back when I was in automotive manufacturing, I was told that it ended up being someone that I dated for like 3 years, and he said his first impression of me was that I was arrogant. Those were his words, that I was arrogant. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's more of a reflection on him than it is on me. But still, this is how, like, as a projector, you can be received in different ways, right? So as a leader, you play to your strengths. I would say we always play to our strengths, but as a projector, like, we can also see what's working in the system, what's not working in the system, what's working for this person, what's not working for this person, what's working for these people, what's not working for these people, right? Because we can see and guide energy in a way that the other types can still do, right? They absolutely can still do it, but we do it in such a different way because of our design type. So learning to lead and play to your strengths. That's why I love human design so much because it's going to tell you how many things in your or it's going to tell you the things in your chart that you're really really good at. Like, I think something that we've had in our business is that I have this weird charisma and magnetism that I really, for a long time, didn't realize that I had or think that I had or knew how to translate it into business, right? Because that was a bullshit story that I had that I needed to get over. So that's a great way to also look at your chart and to see, like, what are the strengths that you have in comparison to who you are, but how you naturally lead, and then let those strengths bolster you.
Mm. Okay. And so just to one, somebody asked, what's this live about? It's about human design and how to use your human design in leadership. And so I was having this conversation with Julie, who's a projector. So if you're watching this and you're a projector, or whether you're not a projector, you're just like, I need some human design support. I'm going to put the link down to Julie's information and then also how you can work with whether it's me or whether it's Julie or whatever questions you guys have. This is what we do on a day-to-day basis, and we've understood human design in a lot of facets down to like our personal relationships. And specifically today was just more around projectors, but we're going to have Julie back and we're going to have her talking about her 3-5 profile and her inner authority and all those things because I really want this to be educational. I was not on Maddie's live. I'm just looking at some of these comments to answer this.
There was a
Um,
question also about, like, what is this? And I don't know if that meant, like, specifically what is human design or if it's what this live is about. Um, so I can give a quick disclaimer on human design and what it is. So human design is, and this is in my own words and my own terminology and understanding. So human design, one, it's your birth position, and it's the utilization of 5 other systems to create human design. And is that taking that then into account of, like, it gives you what your design is. So human design is an experiment, and this experiment involves quantum physics, it involves astrology, it involves the I Ching, it involves the Kabbalah tree of life. So it's taking all of these different systems that look at energy, energy bodies, how energy moves and flows through the system, as well as quantum physics. And it brings it all together to give you a blueprint of who the fuck you are based on when you were born, day, time, and location, right? Those are the only 3 things that you need to know: day, time, and location. And then you can literally have the blueprint to your life.
Yeah, and it's been such a powerful tool for a lot of reasons, and we continue to see clients get results from using this tool and the transformation from this tool. So, any last thoughts that you have, Julie, before we wrap this up?
I just think that more people in the world need to do healing no matter what your design type is. Because we often talk about, like, the shadow side as well as the, or strengths and weaknesses, right? Like, a lot of people look at them as strengths and weaknesses and opportunities. And I think one thing that always kind of plays in my head is I had a fellow projector one time. She found out she was a projector, and we were on a call, and I was explaining something, and she's like, "Oh, projector's projectoring." And I gotta be honest, it pissed me off because it was someone had asked a question or something, and we were talking through what it is. Um, so the more we can look at our own shit and the more that we can heal, doesn't matter what your design type is, but the better off you're gonna be. And you will find with your human design that these things are already, like, natural and inherent to what you do and the way that you move. You maybe just need to do a little bit of remembering, and so some of that comes with the healing and the shadow work and the deconditioning and the reprogramming.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think like human design kind of gives you that kind of framework to look at like what is the strengths and the weakness and the challenges and then what are the shadow sides
Yeah.
because I feel like that's where I've gotten the most of my growth. Not just seeing like what my strengths are, but also like the challenges with that. Like what happens as a manifester when I don't inform, shit blows up in my face, right? Or the manifestors tend to like move quick without informing, and then the other thing too that can be a challenge is the impatient sides of manifestors as well. So all right, until next time, thank you, Julie, for joining us. I will drop all the links to everything in the comments and pin it to the top, so if you guys are watching this on the replay, you guys can check those out, and then we'll be back again for some more.
Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you.